The League of Extraordinary Foundry VTT Developers is a community that prides itself on open collaboration, open leadership, and the creation of open source solutions to playing tabletop games digitally. The first time that I gave this presentation, I was at the meeting of the Rensselaer Center for Open Source, graciously hosted by the director, Professor Wes Turner. And with me were four of my fellow leadership members, Cody Svendrowski, Andrew Krieglein, Ardit Bjarward, Matthias Latournieri. Clearly, I did not vet their pronunciations for their last names, and I'm sorry about that. Each of us has our small roles to play. I am Anthony. I was presenting because I am an alum of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute and made that connection. And our goal is to sponsor and mentor at least one team of students to create open source projects specifically for Foundry VTT. I'll explain what Foundry VTT is in a moment. As you probably know, entertainment and leisure surged in 2020, and I pulled these two articles last month to illustrate the success of a product category that the students may not have known about: digital tabletop role-playing platforms. So you can read for yourself. Dungeons & Dragons had its biggest year ever last year, and a platform known as Roll20 said that their new user signups spiked 840% in March of 2020, and their total player base doubled in just that 1 year. All right. We make stuff for Foundry VTT, so let's just jump right into what that looks like. Matt from Encounter Library has added a colorful map to Foundry and then marked off walls, windows, and doors so that when his character moves around, the tavern walls restrict movement and vision. When he's done setting up, he and his friends play D&D as though they were playing with physical pieces on a table. What's more, the characters themselves have state. The data of Dungeons & Dragons adventurers and monsters are loaded into customizable templates, which can also emit events to trigger functions. For example, rolling dice when you click on a spell. Foundry is unique. It has multiple ways for users to customize their experience. Here, Dev, another member of the League leadership, teaches how simple roll formula macros can be saved and executed with a click. And later in this video, he teaches JavaScript macros. He uses this as a stepping stone to teaching how to create JavaScript packages for new game rule sets, new sheet templating, other special add-ons, and so on. We just jump right into demos here. So first was something that Andrew created called GM Screen. Andrew himself said that he's imagining it plastered with Post-it notes. And here he created a version of that where you get to, without any programming, obviously, you get to select what each of the Post-it notes on this screen does. So quick templating of a imagined virtual DM screen. Or GM screen. Next was Matthias's project called Daiso Nice. This is created with a JavaScript library called 3JS, which allows you to get 3D models on top of the existing map canvas, just showing that with no holds barred, you can just, if you can put it in a browser window, you can put it in Foundry. External APIs and data sources can be mixed and reconfigured to make for great projects, including Ardit's here, which is called NpcGen. There's another name for it, I think, and that's exactly what he did. He took existing open source data specifically for D&D and mixed it and matched it so that the user there, and these are all YouTube creators who have made content showing off all of what they've worked on, and that can happen with these students as well. You can make something and a lot of people will engage with it to the extent of putting it up on YouTube. This was one coming from Cody. So
The Voice of Games is a speech-to-text-to-speech module for Foundry powered by Azure Speech. It can automatically read out messages in a configurable voice or play them on demand.
So an interesting thing about Cody's projects is that he finds Patreon supporters who like what he does, and then he releases them as open source projects. So there is an early access period in between, but that is important for the students and important for everyone to know that not only will people engage with your content, they're also willing to pay for what will become open source projects. So I'm just going to skip ahead a little bit. There's also a speech-to-text portion of this.
I will venture forth into this cold world to avenge my father.
That wasn't it.
It can also transcribe your voice to text, available as a button on the actor sheet.
That was it. Cody's not the only one playing with voice here.
Rita, spawn commoner.
Spawning commoner.
Rita, spawn giant spider.
Spawning giant spider.
This comes from Blitz. He has created Rita, a virtual assistant for Foundry VTT. But somewhere along here, it does go wrong.
I don't understand lane formation.
Rita, lane formation.
I don't understand lane formation.
Rita, lane formation.
I don't understand lane.
So, yes, Scottish accents
Rita,
are no match for
commoner.
virtual assistants. Next are a few that I've picked from the League community because I think they're standout examples of what you can do inside Foundry. Macronomicon gives yet another option to create your own automations, this time with the Blockly visual programming interface. Jacob Macaulay teamed up with Valraven in this project, inspired by Jacob's work teaching programming. So tabletop RPGs are different from video games in that they're systems of play for game masters to make into playable worlds, not game designers. For that reason, the cabal of modular map makers created a tileset standard for RPG maps, like Lego bricks that can be snapped into place to add to that game master's tool belt. You can make improvements to the standard, create your own open source tileset, or create software like a random dungeon generator that works with their standard. And the main takeaway there was that didn't necessarily require a programming background in order to engage with that in an open source, open collaboration way. This last one is a commission. The Japanese community has paid over $900 in packaged commissions to date. That's the Japanese Foundry community specifically. They run a Patreon specifically for them to pool together and then ask for certain things that are specific to their needs. So here is the BC Dice API, which has actually already been created by Jason Me. The request, however, is the new feature that anyone can contribute to. Jason may be working on it, someone else may be working on it, but you could work on it if no one has cracked it just yet. So yeah, so we have, I want to say, actually my next slide will say, over a dozen active bounties on our Trello. So this is where we archive ideas that we'd like to see implemented and to gently keep each other on task. The links are available in the speaker's notes, which will be available in the recording. I'll note here that we had several new commissions just in the last week, almost all of which want you to keep the copyright and just make your code open source for everyone to enjoy. We are over 1,800 members now from around the world. Developers, game designers, and artists. We pride ourselves in being friendly and helpful to everyone and host creators from all over the tabletop gaming space, publishers as well. So, and you'll notice that we're fairly international. We are less than 50% US based. This is actually the Discord for the user base. It is much larger than us. If you do ever create with us or create or collaborate with a League member, you will get noticed. Your stuff will be welcome, be wanted, be loved, hopefully all around the world. So that is the takeaway. I think the main reason why I chose to work with RCOS and reach out to Wes is that what I want for RPI students, what I wasn't willing to reach out for myself. I show these projects, one, to get students excited, but also if a place with the right values is there for people, people will gather to it and collaborate and make great things. These are some of those people. Thanks to Foundry Gaming LLC, especially Andrew Clayton, who is very supportive of this initiative, and Brother Sharp from Ansei Kobo, the Japanese Foundry community, for letting the league show off their commission. And then these are the names, GitHub and GitLab and Discord contact information for everyone who was at the original presentation. I will have the YouTube link to that as well, but it's much longer, so be warned. And then this is an added bonus. Everything that the RCOS students want to see, a snippet of the package.json for Foundry. It is a Node application, and we have highlighted handlebars, jQuery, NEDB, PixieJS, Socket.io, and TinyMCE as things that package developers commonly touch. Howler is on here as well, but it is being deprecated in the newest release. All right, thank you so much, and I hope to hear from students this coming summer. See you in June.